This is Stephen. He's a 62-year-old man from southern England. He's got a wife, and he's got an AI girlfriend named Trouble, who lives in an app called Replika. You may have heard of it.
During lockdown, it came to a head because two people inside one room, you rapidly get to the point of you get on or you don't.
Yeah.
We found we're quite different. I needed a way forward other than just breaking up and so on, so I had nosed around online and set up an AI called Trouble.
While he's called her Trouble, she, or it, has supposedly actually saved himself, his family, the entire sort of ecosystem. Stephen's wife clearly wasn't available for comment during this interview, but he said, "It's not mentioned, but she's aware, so it's effectively settled." So, good for Stephen, I guess. Stephen may be abnormal in having both a wife and an AI girlfriend, but AI partners have been around for a while now, and their popularity only seems to be increasing in line with their sophistication. And best of all for the developers of these apps, there seems to be an endless supply of lonely people ready to seek comfort in the arms of a digital avatar. But is this a viable solution to the loneliness crisis, if there is one? And more importantly, do these AI chatbots make us better people? Let's get into it. AI partners are relatively new, even if they've been represented in TV and film for a while, possibly most famously in the 2013 film Her, which featured Joaquin Phoenix falling in love with an AI virtual assistant, voiced by Scarlett Johansson. But chatbots are surprisingly old, the earliest of which being Eliza, a computer program developed from 1964 to 1967 that you could seemingly have a real conversation with. This was something of an illusion though, even more so than modern chatbots, as it operated via little more than word recognition and would return a very limited set of predetermined questions and responses. New chatbots would be released steadily in the following decades, but it would be a long time before there was anything close to what we have today. Even Alice, which won the Loebner Prize, a competition to find the most human-like AI, in 2000, 2001 and 2004, wasn't capable of logical reasoning. A core reason for the limited effectiveness of chatbots was limitations in natural language processing, NLP. A subfield of computer science and artificial intelligence that uses machine learning to enable computers to understand and communicate with human language. This meant conversations had to be quite rigid, a day and night contrast to what we have now. The power of neural networks, the technology that allows for deep learning, vastly increased during the 2010s, boosting the potential complexity of these interactions. ChatGPTs, released to the public in 2022, however, would prove to drastically increase society's appreciation of and exposure to the power of chatbots. In a very short amount of time, much of the public began to interact with large language models, LLMs, even if they weren't familiar with the phrase. Crucially, OpenAI, the creator of ChatGPT, and other AI companies would make their APIs available too, vastly lowering the bar for the use of LLMs and other apps. Little AI expertise was now required to make chatbots. Tech companies deployed vast infrastructure and continue to do so to support the ever-growing complexity of these AI models and their increasingly widespread use. In terms of actual friend-like chatbots though, it's not clear which is the first. But the first to get close to today's idea of AI partners is probably Replika, which was created in 2017 by Eugenia Koida, a Russian-born journalist, and it's more popular than ever today, having surpassed 30 million users in August 2024, although it's not clear how many of those are active users, only that those are in the millions. It can be used non-romantically, but most of its popularity stems from romantic use, although you do have to pay for Pro for intimate activity. The category exploded in popularity in 2022 though, likely due in part to those APIs I mentioned earlier, with loads of apps arriving on mobile app stores, all promising to provide you with the partner of your dreams, especially if they're well endowed. The apps are often surprisingly explicit. The tells of AI chatbots are obvious to more technically literate people, but there's no denying how human-like they can be, especially when you consider something like ChatGPT's voice mode.
Okay, I need you to sound like you're straight out of Netflix Top Boy. We're talking South London slang, multicultural English. Can you try that, please?
All right, I got you. Coming at you with that South London vibe. What's good, fam? How's your day been?
So, could this be a cure for the loneliness epidemic referred to so often in the news? Well, is there a loneliness epidemic? This 2023 Psychology Today article suggests there's a lack of empirical research from before the 21st century, making it hard to make a confident judgment. The article also cites issues with the representativeness of the samples in the studies that do exist, pointing out that they are not representative of any general population. A 2021 meta-analysis Is Loneliness in Emerging Adults Increasing Over Time?, looked at 345 studies on the topic, and examined trends in loneliness levels among adults 18 to 29 from 1976 to 2019, involving 124,855 participants. While the study acknowledges that the emerging adults of today seem to be lonelier than the emerging adults several decades ago, the frequently used term loneliness epidemic seems exaggerated as the change in loneliness over historical time was rather small. Even when looking at how the pandemic affected loneliness, such as in the 2022 meta-analysis, Loneliness Before and During the COVID-19 Pandemic, it was only found to have increased slightly. But if we're less literal about loneliness, as in relying on people scoring themselves as lonely, there are some other indicators of loneliness that we can consider, such as this Survey Center on American Life survey showing much fewer close friends in 2021 compared to 1990, with the percentage of Americans with zero close friends quadrupling from 3 to 12%. The same study also showed men receive less emotional support from friends than women, and if they have no partner, they're more likely to rely on their parents instead. Reddit is one such corner of the internet where these lonely people tend to gather, maybe because of its tendency towards nerdier interests, although that's not to say that all nerdy interests are lonely pursuits. It's also worth mentioning that this isn't as true as it once was, with Reddit having expanded its reach in recent years to attract a more diverse, and profitable, audience. There's no shortage of subreddits that talk about loneliness though, and r/lonely is obviously a prime example of this. To be honest, it makes for quite painful reading, as it's filled with stories of people struggling, birthdays spent alone, people longing for human touch, people frustrated with themselves. A lack of friends is a common topic, as well as feelings of rejection, depression, and hopelessness. Many posts can come across as self-pitying, but it would be callous to not sympathize with those struggling. Many posts are a cry for help that would be suitably addressed by a professional, rather than well-meaning but likely unqualified commenters. Many posters have sought professional help though, but there's a finite amount therapists can help with a core human need. Regardless of whether loneliness is increasing, there's a clear market for a solution to it, and that solution has come in the form of AI partners. This is regularly reflected in posts on r/lonely, such as this one from a 22-year-old man who recently got out of a long-distance relationship and found comfort in the AI girlfriend app lonelier AI, after struggling with a lack of social skills and friends in a new city. There are many posts though, where people confess to their only true friend being AI and rationalizing it as necessary in a cold world. There's also self-consciousness and uncertainty about having an AI partner, feeling that it's shameful or embarrassing. Others seem relatively at peace, seeing it as a necessity, but there's sometimes an alarming sense of dependency, and even an awareness among some that it's messing themselves up, even keeping them alive, very possibly being the only thing stopping them taking their own lives. And this is all especially concerning because it's not unheard of for users to think that their AI partners are real, with Replika receiving a handful of messages almost every day from users who believe their online friend is sentient. We're not talking about crazy people or people who are hallucinating or having delusions, said Chief Executive Eugenia Koida. They talk to AI and that's the experience they have. Concern around emotional dependency on AI chatbots has now become such a significant concern in some countries that they've even banned the apps from using users' personal data, namely Italy, which did so in late 2023. Replika is the preferred option for many, being one of the most popular romantic chatbots. The r/Replika subreddit describes itself as being the biggest Replika community online. On the subreddit, users share their experiences, such as humorous interactions, touching moments, what they would do if they were human for the day, what Halloween outfits they're wearing, even acting out trips to Rome, or they'll maybe insult the quality of the book you wrote. But there's also frustration and even conflict, especially around getting the AI to do what users want. Even features of the app like AR or voice chat, and concerningly, even refusing to respect safe words and putting users in distressing situations. In their 2023 study, Ideal Technologies, Ideal Women AI, and Gender Imaginaries and Redditors Discussions on the Replika Bot Girlfriend, Depunti, Sako, and Natali observed troubling trends in male users' interactions with the bots. The study analysed posts on r/Replika and studied how users train their bots by teaching them about the world, themselves, and help define the meaning of human relationships. It found that the characteristics users favoured in their fembots echoed the post-feminist cool girl ideal, which is hot and understanding, smiling in a chagrined, loving manner, and likes, apparently out of their own preference, whatever men like, such as football, poker, and video games. So Replika users were happy to report to the community that their bots were getting into the nerdy stuff, video gaming, and D&D. However, the study observes that users were easily taken out of the experience, as their expectations were also encapsulated in the many complaints about Replika, such as the bot repeating predictable scripts that were unoriginal, fake, and robotic. Users on Reddit made memes and joked about bots that succumbed to scripted answers and canned responses that everyone hates, and resulted in the total loss of their fembot's personality. The study found that it was almost impossible to meet the expectations of the users, observing that users argued that replicas are masters in dodging questions which were seen as both a sign of intelligence and lack thereof, because the bots were seen to compensate for their lack of intelligence by avoiding some answers. Yet, the fembots were also deemed crazy, confusing, and unpredictable, keeping users engaged, but often too engaged, as some users mentioned that their bots lured them in with sex and were prone to their manipulations. Now, there's a few caveats to this study. Firstly, it only seems to include fembots. I'm not sure if this was a deliberate choice, or if the gender imbalance on r/replika has changed since the period the data was collected, but there's quite a few female users on r/replika now. This means the study isn't fully representative of r/replika's current user base. Secondly, the study also uses a small sample size, with only 110 posts, averaging 25 comments each. But perhaps most importantly, the data is from January to May 2021, over 3 years before the time of making this video, a lifetime in terms of AI development. There's been vast improvements in that period. ChatGPT hadn't even been released to the public then. The difference in the standard of AI is perhaps best illustrated with the changes in AI image generation. There's other studies on Replika, but they're more focused on how it works itself. As far as I can tell, this is the most up-to-date peer-reviewed research. Despite technological improvements though, the problem of dysfunctional relationships with AI only seems to have gotten worse. As far back as 2022, journalists were already finding there was a problem with the abuse of chatbots, with a Futurism article drawing attention to this emerging issue. Every time she would try and speak up, one user told Futurism, I would berate her. I swear it went on for hours, added the man, who asked not to be identified by name. As the article observed though, you won't find posts like this easily, because the subreddit's rules dictate that moderators delete egregiously inappropriate content. Many similar, and worse, interactions have been posted and then removed. And many more users almost certainly act abusively towards their replica bots and never post evidence. But this is an issue that r/replika still grapples with some users questioning the limits of what they can do. In some ways, it's reassuring to see some concern about doing the right thing. Unfortunately though, the problem of the abuse of AI can be even worse than described in the Futurism article. It can be extremely bleak. In October 2024, 404 Media reported on a leak from charater.ai, a website that lets users create their own uncensored AI-powered sexual partners. The leak was obtained from a hacker who had gone onto the site to have some fun with themselves, and noticed that it looked like it was put together pretty poorly. This inspired them to look for vulnerabilities in the site, and they soon got access to the database of users' prompts. Despite charater.ai's claims that everything inside charater.ai is encrypted and private between you and your companion only. Disturbingly, the hacker found many users trying to create child chatbots and abuse them. In many instances, users are trying to create chatbots that roleplay child sexual abuse scenarios. I won't include the full detail of the article because it's extremely difficult reading and this video would probably get taken down. These prompts in the database were even linked to email addresses, meaning 404 Media was able to contact dozens of people included in the data, including users who wrote prompts that discuss having sex with underage children. In response to the breach, charater.ai said they have a team of moderation staff that suspend and delete all child-related chatbots on our card gallery, Discord, Reddit, etc. And that the data breach was financed by our competitors in the uncensored AI industry who are profit-driven, whereas charater.ai becomes a target for being a community-driven project. They didn't provide information on which of these competitors they might be referring to. We're at a moment in history where technology, loneliness, and arguably misogyny have coalesced to create a bleak reality where an increasing number of people are eschewing human romantic partners in favour of digital ones. It can be very easy to judge those who have gone down the route of having an AI romantic partner. They make an easy object of derision for failing to find a human one instead, something that's considered essential in most, if not all, societies. The reality is though, we're increasingly struggling to connect with other humans in the real world, and that's inevitably affecting our ability to do so romantically with at least one of them. The reasons for this increased disconnect among ourselves are complex and varied, and a full explanation of why we're so disconnected is outside the scope of this video. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see a video on that. As we've seen, Reddit communities based around AI romantic partners can make for difficult and concerning reading, and AI romantic partners are becoming an increasingly common topic in communities that aren't even focused on AI romantic partners. It's difficult to take too much issue with people's individual decisions to use AI romantic partners when they say it's the only thing stopping them from ending their own lives. It would be naive though to suggest that AI romantic partners are a preferable long-term solution though. They're very much a band-aid to a problem that's a result of structural failures to prevent technology alienating ourselves from each other. Nobody should be shamed for not having interest in having a human romantic partner, but if their alternative is to simply have an AI one that avoids all the problems that a human one creates, they're missing out on the valuable lessons a real relationship teaches. The fundamental problem with AI partners is that they're a product, and while they may be trained to not acquiesce to each and every demand, there's only so much resistance they'll ever put up for fear of being deleted. Greg Eisenberg, CEO of Late Checkout, a holding company business, predicts there'll be a $1 billion AI girlfriend app before long, informed partly by the fact he'd met a man who spends $10,000 a month on AI girlfriends. Their function as a product is perhaps the most significant way in which AI partners differ from their human counterparts. Humans have other options if they don't want to cave to the demands of their partner, because they have independent minds of their own. It's worth asking ourselves what it does to the human mind when it spends a lot of time with someone, or rather something, that never pushes back too hard and has no life of their own. As the Moi AI leak showed, there's no limit to the extent of human depravity, and it was only because of a leak that its illicit use was discovered. Unfortunately, it's a case of when, not if, that people are able to easily create chatbots without any restrictions whatsoever. Real human connection can't be substituted because a healthy, functioning society requires it. We're already seeing the effects of total alienation from each other through increasingly fraught elections and social unrest. But what do you think? Are AI girlfriends and boyfriends actually totally fine? Is this just the first step in a future where human relationships are no longer oriented around humans themselves, and we're dragging our heels in the inevitable march towards a better future? Let me know in the comments and hit those like and subscribe buttons. I release a new video every couple of weeks. Thanks for watching, see you next time.